Hmm. All right. Welcome back, everyone. It's all right. I had to make a late lunch for Dad and me, so we are back, everyone. Those of you who've seen the my first New Year's broadcast know what's going on. Why I haven't been on for 3 weeks. My dad and I have been sick ever since coming home from Thanksgiving dinner. So we've been fighting that, and then after Christmas, we got sick with some sort of stomach virus. My dad was bad enough, but I was puking my guts out, so yeah. But other than that, I think we're both slowly but surely starting to be on the mend. So yeah. All right. All right, let's get back to the broadcast, shall we? Let's do Goose Pimples. This is paranormal videos that prove they're still here. Alright, as always, links to the original videos will be in the description box below. So, you guys ready? I know I am. So, without further ado, away we go.
Late one night, two friends decided it would be a brilliant idea to mock the paranormal and mess around with a
Oh,
Ouija board.
no.
Just like if
Oh, hell no. Are you kidding me? No. You guys are idiots. Let's say that again.
Late one night, two friends decided it would be a brilliant idea to mock the paranormal and mess around with a Ouija board.
No,
Just like
bad idea.
But little did they know, they were about to get a response from something that didn't find the joke very funny. Now, for anyone who knows anything about these so-called spirit boards, there are golden rules you're just not supposed to break. But these two guys, full of skepticism, threw the instruction manual straight out of the window. Here's the moment they realized they made a massive mistake.
¿A los cuántos años se va a morir el pan?
Ah, estás pendejo, güey. Es idiota. No, güey, mejor hacerlo más chido así como que.
Chinga su madre, ya manifiéstate, güey. Si va a haber algo, se va a manifestar, güey.
Es mamá.
Oh, hello. Hello.
How fast they darted out of there. They couldn't outrun whatever the hell they had managed to summon.
Oh.
The guys in this video broke one of the most important rules of Ouija sessions, aside from just don't use one at all.
Yeah.
Never take your hands off the planchette before the session has properly ended.
Exactly.
Doing so is believed to create a portal from the world you are trying to contact straight into your own. Which is probably why all the stuff in the room was being flung all over the place. Could that be what happened here?
Might be.
Let us know your thoughts in the comment section.
Whoa.
No.
Way to go, dumbbells. Yeah. Like I said before, and you guys are probably tired of hearing me saying this, but like I said before, that's one of the big major promises that my mom made me promise to her before she died. She said, son, please, for your own sake especially, promise me, don't ever play with the Ouija board. Ever. Like, it's a gateway. You could be summoning just a regular spirit, or you could be summoning a demon into your house. And you don't want that. So, yeah. So, let's move on.
Number 4. Working late. It was the end of a long day
Oh, this one isn't very long. Okay.
at the Sumbawangi perfume store in Indonesia.
Indonesia,
Just as the
whoa.
saleswoman was getting ready to close up, it seems a last-minute customer walked in. The CCTV camera, later posted to the store's TikTok account, captures her greeting the customer with a big, enthusiastic smile, ready to make one last sale. She starts recommending different perfumes, pointing them out. and seems to be having a perfectly normal conversation. But when her co-worker walks out from the back room a moment later, his confused reaction reveals that this is anything but a normal sale. Here's the strange footage. The reason her co-worker is so baffled is because there is no one there. The saleswoman is enthusiastically completely lost in a conversation.
There's nobody there. Yeah.
She's so deep in the interaction.
Oh my
she doesn't
gosh!
even notice her colleague until he speaks to her. The moment he does, you can see the genuine confusion on her face as she snaps out of it, like someone's waking up from a dream. So what in the fresh hell is going on? One paranormal theory that fits perfectly is the concept of a glamour. It's an old belief that a powerful entity can create a vivid illusion, making someone see something that isn't really there. To the saleswoman, she could have been seeing a fully formed person, clear as day. While the camera and her co-worker saw nothing
at all.
Space. An even creepier theory is a mild form of possession or a trance state.
Ooh,
the spirit
that's even
might have
worse.
put her into a hypnotic state to interact with her, using her own actions to play out the memory of a sale. Her co-worker's interruption would have been enough to break that connection. Her bewildered reaction when she snaps out of it looks incredibly genuine. What do you think?
Yeah.
Did this saleswoman get a visit from a ghostly customer who just wanted to smell nice in the afterlife? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
I think she did. Because you look at the video. You look at the video and it's like, what in the... Now, she sees this, whatever it is. She sees this clear as day, whatever it is. Her manager doesn't. Now, she invites it in, whatever it is. She has a full-blown conversation. You know, she's in the zone, man. She's in the zone. I mean, she's in the zone to sell this customer, she thinks it is, a bottle of perfume or whatever, or some cosmetic makeup, whatever. And yeah, she's in it the whole 9 yards. She thinks she's talking to another person. And yeah, then her manager comes out. It's like, what are you doing? There's nobody there. There is nobody there, hun. And then it snaps around. It's just like, wait, what? Wait, but it was there. It was there. I saw it. And yeah, you could see in the video that she is easily shocked. She is easily confused. She thought it was real too. She thought it was real. Absolutely. Yeah, I think she had a visit from a spirit.
By the way, a huge thank you to our members of the week, John Brown and My Angel Sion. You can join the wonderful people who make this content possible by signing up to our Patreon. Or you can just like and subscribe. It's free and it helps a ton. Number 3. Bedtime Stories. After the heartbreaking loss of 2 loved ones, this family started noticing strange, unexplainable things happening around their home. Hoping it was a sign from the family members they'd lost, they set up a security camera, wanting to capture a comforting message from the other side. But the entity they caught on camera didn't seem to be leaving a comforting message. In fact, what it did was so strange and physical that it left them with more chills than comfort.
Ooh.
And what the camera first captured was only the beginning. Here's the first clip they recorded.
Whoa. Yeah, he's not doing that. Nobody. The bed is made. There's nobody under the sheets or the bedspread. That thing is rolling. And I don't see a wire. Ooh. The bottle's spinning.
Subtle,
Man.
but it's undeniably creepy. You
Yes.
can see the papers on the bed shift and flutter, as if
Yeah.
nudged by an unseen hand, while the water bottle gives a little spin all on its own.
Yeah, it does.
Now, remember the context here. This family is grieving, and they were hoping for a sign. You can understand why they weren't scared by this.
Yeah.
Just curious. But this is where the footage goes from a creepy recording to a live paranormal event.
Ooh. What the? What the what?
As she continues to film, she pans the camera away
What is
from
that?
the TV and over to the actual bed to show us the room in real time.
Oh my
The
god.
papers start moving again. But that's just the opening act. The
Oh my
truly bizarre
gosh.
part is what happens under the duvet. A clear shape rises up,
Yes.
moving around and then flattens out completely, as if whatever was there just vanished into thin air. According to
Yeah.
paranormal researchers, for an entity to manifest with enough physical force to move a duvet is incredibly rare and requires a colossal amount of energy. It suggests a powerful spirit, or in this family's case, perhaps a loved one using every ounce of their strength to make contact. Their curiosity didn't stop there though. The family began to actively engage with the presence, even using crystals to coax reactions. It seems to have worked a little too well though, as the activity in the bedroom started to spread throughout the entire house.
Uh-oh. Oh, well. Door's closing, and there's nobody behind that door.
That's never done that.
Yeah. And there's nobody behind that door.
According to the description, the footage was caught on a security camera they had recently set up in the living room after the strange experiences, and the reason the boy had a rifle in his hand is because it's an airsoft rifle he was showing to his brother, not because he was ready to make the paranormal equal.
No.
But the point is, the activity only ramped up like this after the family paid attention to the haunting and engaging with it. Both the husband and wife consistently posted videos of the activity.
Well, his wife looks
while also
fine.
attempting to impact the entity using
She is
stuff
really
like
pretty.
crystals.
She's...
Could this be proof that paranormal beings feed off of your fear and interests? Let us know any theories you have down below.
Yeah, can I just say this? Yeah, his wife is fine, man. She is really pretty. That guy's a lucky man.
Number 2. Behind closed doors.
Yeah.
This guy was having a hard time settling into his new apartment.
Uh-oh.
The situation was even more difficult to navigate when he realised that he wasn't actually alone in there at all.
Ooh.
Because his new home came with an existing tenant. One that wasn't happy to share.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, this guy. Yeah, we've...
All right. Let's investigate.
Oh, okay. No, this is different. Okay.
The banging wasn't just on one door either.
All right. I just want to let you guys know, like, I'm home alone. There's nobody here.
Whoa! It answered you, dude. Dude, it answered you.
That is some seriously aggressive banging.
Yeah.
And every time he throws the door open, there's absolutely no one there.
Yeah, there's nobody
Not a
there.
soul in sight. And we get a clear view of the empty space every single time.
Yeah, we do.
Now, when we see stuff like this, our first thought is usually angry ghosts. But parapsychologists have a fascinating and in some ways creepier theory for this. It's called recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, or RSPK. The idea is that the source of the poltergeist isn't a spirit at all, but a living person, usually
Ooh.
someone under a lot of stress or emotional turmoil. They're called the agent, and without realizing it, they're subconsciously projecting their inner anxiety outwards as a raw kinetic energy,
Right.
powerful enough to create loud bangs or even throw objects across a room. So, let's look at our guy. He just moved into a new flat. He's alone. He's clearly on edge. According to the RSPK theory, could he be the agent here? Is
could
all
be.
this banging not something trying to get in, but his own stress and anxiety literally bouncing off the walls? Another
Maybe.
theory is that it could be a place memory haunting, where the sound of that frantic banging is just a psychic echo of a past traumatic event, recorded into that very fabric of the building and replaying itself. Of course, a skeptic would say he's just got a mate in the next room with a hammer, or that the audio
No.
was cleverly added in later. But if it's real,
It could
it's
be.
a fascinating case.
It looks real.
So what do you think?
I think
A
it's
classic
real.
Angry spirit, a psychic echo of the past, or is it the man himself, unconsciously causing the chaos?
It
in
could
his own
be.
mind?
It could be.
Let us know which theory you think fits best.
Man, that made me jump out of my skin. There's nothing there.
Num-
Okay. Hang on, guys. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm just what?
It's halfway through the third quarter, and Indiana now leads 24 to nothing. They are kicking their ass.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, couldn't happen to the Monster Bunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too good, but hey, that's all right.
Oh, well. Hey, better them than us.
Yeah.
Better them than us. Maybe that was a certain man upstairs way of telling an OU, you guys aren't ready yet. You guys have come a long way, but you're not ready for this yet. Not yet. Oh, man. Yeah, in case you guys were wondering, Indiana is whooping Alabama's ass. Oh, my gosh. That is funny as hell. All right, let's move on, guys.
Number 1.
Number 1, last one. Behind you.
While
Ooh.
finishing the rest of the washing up, Stephen could have never prepared himself for the creepy experience he was about to have. As he turned around to complete his last task, something bizarre happened that he still can't explain. Take a look.
Dude, I'm a little wigged out right now. So, I was washing dishes and just putting things away, and all of a sudden, I feel something hit me in the back, and I heard it bounce. Look at
Ooh.
this shit. And this ball hits me in the back right shoulder out of nowhere.
Whoa! And he's supposed to be home alone, guys. He's supposed to be home alone.
You might be thinking that someone else in the house must have thrown it at him as a prank, but his wife was apparently in bed and sick at the time.
Oh.
And this is where his kid was.
Yeah. Aw. But he's not feeling too good either. Aw.
Now, mind you,
I've
I
been
just got
there.
done washing the air fryer and was drying it off. whatever it was had a little bit of force. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Lauren's been in bed for almost 2 days. Like, she gets up for a little bit, but she has not felt good at all.
Ooh.
And Avery, let's just face it, if he's not watching his tablet, he's on the Oculus or he's outside. And I knew with it being like 12.
Well, hey, yeah, good. At least he's got that choice too. He likes to go outside and play. Good for you, man. Yeah.
O'clock, he's inside.
Yeah.
So, I have no idea. Now, I have a lot of activity. It's not like malicious or anything, but that right there was the first time that's happened. So, I don't know. What do y'all think about it?
So,
It might have been and just a residential spirit trying to get your attention to say, hey, check on your woman, or hey, check on your boy, just in case. I don't know. Or maybe it was the ghost of a female spirit saying, hey, you didn't drive that right. There's no telling.
with his wife sick in a bed
Oh,
and
man.
his kid in the other room, there
Yeah.
was no one around to play a prank.
No,
And
there's
what
not.
makes his footage so compelling is that Stephen isn't some paranormal influencer.
No.
His account is just full of normal, everyday family life. He's a regular bloke who happened to capture something completely unexplainable.
Oh.
What we're seeing is a textbook case of a poltergeist demanding attention. It's not just a subtle bump in the night. Or
Yeah, I want you
door
to play
creaking
football with me.
It's a direct, physical interaction. Something in that house wanted him to know it was there, and it wasn't being subtle about it. It's
No.
one thing to hear a strange noise in an empty room. It's another thing entirely when the house itself starts throwing things at you.
Yeah. Exactly. Ooh, that is creepy.
The camera reveals what had other drivers so spooked that many online believe represents 666.
Ooh.
Some took this as a clear sign of demonic possession, but how to
Ooh.
explain the figure seemingly phasing through obstacles? Also, did you spot how weirdly it moved across the deck?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think we've seen that before. Man. Oh boy. All right. Well, that is Goose Pimples. All right. Okay. Right now, we're going to my place, Oklahoma. And we're going to watch a few paranormal videos about some haunted places in Oklahoma and some cryptids as well. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think this would be perfect. This is Salvo Sagas. Oh, yeah. About the incident near Lawton, Oklahoma. I don't live too far from where Lawton is. This is creepy. So, you guys ready? I know I am.
What he saw that night was so terrifying.
No. All right. We're doing that. All right, anyway. Police revealed terrifying encounters within Oklahoma. This happened within Lawton in the 1970s, I think. All right, you guys ready? I know I am, so without further ado, away we go.
In the early 1970s, police in Lawton, Oklahoma began receiving a series of chilling calls. Terrified residents reported that something unnatural was moving through their quiet town, stalking the streets after dark. What I'm about to share with you tonight is drawn from those reports. Accounts that left police officers uneasy and left witnesses forever changed. It began in the late winter of 1971 with a man named Donald Child. Donald was in his mid-30s, a healthy young resident of Lawton, when one evening he glanced out the front window of his home and froze. What he saw that night was so terrifying, so unbelievable, that his body gave out under the shock.
Ooh.
Donald collapsed into cardiac distress right there in his own house.
Oh my gosh.
Doctors later saved him, but the fear never left.
Whoa. That's pretty terrifying, guys. You know, they saved his life, but something that's terrifying to traumatize him that much that the fear never left, that's pretty scary.
According to Donald, the figure outside his window was no ordinary animal. It was massive, hairy, and monstrous in shape, like something out of a horror movie. He told officers that it had come up to his yard, even tried to drink from the small fish pond near his home. Finding it empty, the thing simply moved on, vanishing back into the night. But Donald's encounter set the tone for what was to come. Because that night, Donald was not the only one to see it.
Ooh.
Other residents reported the same creature bounding across streets, dodging cars, moving with unnatural speed. Some said it ran on all fours like a wolf, only to suddenly rise up on two legs like a man.
Ooh.
One eyewitness even swore it perched on a railing outside their home, glaring at them with a face so distorted and wrong that it defied description. These were not just campfire tales whispered in the dark. They were reports that came directly to the Lawton Police Department. And before long, officers themselves would witness the same thing. Even soldiers stationed at nearby Fort Sill, men trained for combat, would admit to being shaken by what they encountered.
Ooh.
Within just 2 days, the situation escalated so far that police leadership issued an official alert.
Whoa.
Officers were told to remain on guard for something the commander himself called the Wolfman.
Ooh.
So
werewolves are real, people. They're real. So's the dog man. And they've proven it.
what exactly was it that stalked the streets of Lawton? A
Lawton?
wild animal mistaken for something more?
No.
A cruel prank?
I mean, if it was a man in a werewolf suit, man, that's one cruel prank. That's a real mean prank. You scare the shit out of the poor old guy so bad he has cardiac arrest and the paramedics have to revive him. But he's still shaken up after that. No, I don't think it was a prank. I don't think it was a prank at all.
Or did the residents of this Oklahoma town truly cross paths with something beyond human understanding? Stay with me.
Let's find
Because
out.
by the end of this story, you'll see why those events still haunt Lawton to this day.
I bet they do.
Those chilling words, the Wolfman,
The Wolfman.
were not invented by storytellers decades later.
No.
They came straight from the lips of law enforcement in Lawton, Oklahoma.
There you go. Yeah, when it's bad enough that the cops are spreading the rumors, you know it's bad. You know it's bad.
And before that name was ever spoken, it all began with a flood of phone calls to the police station. It was the early 1970s,
70s.
and dispatchers in Lawton were used to their fair share of late-night trouble. But the voices on the other end of the line that winter were different. They weren't angry or drunk or joking. They were frantic,
Panicked.
terrified. Residents from different neighborhoods, blocks apart, all said the same thing. Something enormous was moving through the streets.
Ooh.
They described it as a beast, tall and shaggy, with glowing eyes that seemed to follow them even from a distance. Some swore it moved like a wolf, loping on all fours. But then, just as suddenly, it would stand upright, towering like a man. At first, the officers on duty dismissed the reports. A prank, they thought. Maybe a stray dog or a coyote spooking people during the cold nights. But the calls didn't stop. In fact, they came faster. From people who had no way of knowing that others were calling in with the same story. One woman reported the creature darting between houses, its shadow stretching across her lawn as it passed under the streetlights. Another caller swore he nearly crashed his car when the thing bounded across the road in front of him, moving far too quickly to be any ordinary animal. The police now faced a problem. Too many witnesses, too many details, and all describing the same impossible thing. Something wasn't adding up.
No, it wasn't.
By the time the sun began to rise over Lawton, officers knew this wasn't just a prank or a case of mistaken identity. Whatever it was, animal, man, or something else, it was real enough to terrify an entire neighborhood. And this was only the beginning. Because soon, the monster would stop lurking in shadows and make its presence known in ways that could no longer be ignored. And it didn't take long before one man came face to face with it. His name was Donald Child, a resident of Lawton. By all accounts, he was a healthy man in his mid-30s, living an ordinary life in a quiet neighborhood. But what happened to him one evening would leave scars that no doctor could heal. Donald was at home when he noticed movement outside his front window. At first, he thought nothing of it. Probably just the wind, or maybe a stray animal nosing around the yard. But when he leaned closer, what he saw froze him in place. Staring back at him through the glass was a figure unlike anything he had ever seen before. It was huge, its body covered in thick, dark hair. Its shape was wrong, part man, part beast. Donald described its face as monstrous, with a presence so overwhelming it nearly stopped his heart.
Ooh.
In fact, the shock was so intense that Donald collapsed on the spot, his body thrown into cardiac arrest. Neighbors rushed to help, and Donald was taken to the hospital. He survived, but
he was never the same.
Friends would later say that the fear never left his eyes after that night. The memory of the creature haunted him, keeping him in a state of constant unease. What made Donald's case so unsettling was the trace it left behind. He kept a small fish pond in his yard, and when police investigated, they noted it looked as if something large had crouched beside it, trying to drink. The water was gone, the ground disturbed, but the beast itself had vanished into the night. For Donald, the nightmare was personal. But for Lawton, the nightmare was just beginning. Because soon, the creature would be spotted again.
Ooh.
This time in the open streets, under the glow of headlights, moving with terrifying speed. The first reports came from drivers heading home late at night. They described a figure so large it nearly filled the road, darting across their path in a blur of motion. What made their stories more disturbing was the way the creature seemed to shift, sometimes charging forward on all fours like a wolf, then rising upright in the same stride, towering over the hoods of passing cars. One man swore he narrowly avoided a collision when the beast shot out of the darkness.
Ooh.
He slammed on his brakes, convinced he had struck a person, only to watch the figure leap clear across the pavement in a single bound. The memory stayed with him, the way its eyes caught the headlights, glowing an unnatural yellow before disappearing into the shadows. Another couple, driving home from a late dinner, gave a chillingly similar account. At first, they thought a large dog was racing toward them. But as it neared, the creature rose to its full height, its arms swinging wide like a man's. The woman screamed as it lunged across their lane, brushing so close to the car she swore she could hear the scrape of claws on the asphalt. And these weren't isolated stories. In the days that followed, more motorists came forward, each telling nearly the same impossible tale. A huge, wolf-like figure weaving between headlights, dodging vehicles as if it knew exactly when to move. Some said it ran with a strange intelligence, not panicked or wild like an animal, but calculating, almost daring drivers to come closer. One delivery driver insisted he locked eyes with it in his mirrors.
Oh, man.
He told officers it wasn't just running. It was watching me the whole time.
Ooh.
It wanted me to know it was there.
Ooh.
For the citizens of Lawton, fear was beginning to spread.
Oh, yeah. When you have an apex predator that does that, not just because when it doesn't just chase you or stalk you, it just stands there and looks at you to where it wants you to know it's there, and it wants you to know that it can see you and it's watching you. Yeah. That's a problem. That's a very intelligent animal, an intelligent beast. Yeah. That's bad news, guys. You've got a very crafty apex predator stalking the streets of your town. Yeah.
It was no longer just a story whispered over fences or passed between neighbors. People were seeing something in the open, under the streetlights, in the full view of anyone who happened to be driving by.
Oh, man.
Police could no longer shrug it off as hysteria or mistaken identity. Too many reports were coming in, too many details matched. And for the officers themselves, the question was no longer whether something was out there. The question became, what happens when one of them comes face to face with it? They wouldn't have to wait long. Because before the week was over, one of Lawton's own officers would witness the creature firsthand, and his report would send shockwaves through the entire department.
I bet it
Because
would.
before the week was over, one of Lawton's own officers would witness the creature firsthand, and his report would send shockwaves through the entire department. That officer was Harry Ozell. At the time, he was responding to yet another call from a frightened resident. The woman on the line had been hysterical, barely able to get her words out.
I bet she was.
Something was outside her home, she said. Something perched on her railing. At first, she thought it was a cruel prank. Some twisted figure planted there to frighten her. But when she pulled back the curtain to get a better look, she realized it was no trick. What she described to Officer Ozell was chilling. A massive, wolf-like shape was crouched on the railing just beyond her window, balanced in a way no ordinary animal could manage. Its fur looked matted, its limbs too long. At first glance, she thought it might be some kind of oversized dog or ape. But then it turned its head. The face was what broke her. She said it looked warped, scarred, even burned, as if fire itself had misshapen it. Its features didn't fit together right, a mask of distortion stretched over a body that already defied nature. And in that instant, the creature stared straight into her eyes. Ozell later recalled that she nearly collapsed from the shock. He tried to calm her, assuring her that perhaps it was only a large animal. But even he admitted the details unsettled him, especially what came next. According to the witness, after locking eyes with her, the creature leapt from the railing to the ground. The drop was nearly 17 feet, yet it landed with ease, vanishing into the darkness. This wasn't the kind of story a patrol officer could easily explain away. Coyotes don't perch on railings.
No, they don't.
Wolves don't smirk at you through glass.
No, they don't.
And no prankster in a costume could leap that kind of distance and survive. Ozell's report gave the police department something they couldn't ignore. An official account from one of their own, tied to the statement of a terrified eyewitness. Together, the two accounts painted the same picture. A monstrous figure that could balance like a man, move like a beast, and frighten people to the brink of collapse. For Lawton police, the mystery was spiraling. What had started as frantic phone calls from citizens was now creeping into their own ranks. Officers who once laughed off the stories were beginning to lock their doors at night. And if the fear inside the department wasn't enough, the situation was about to escalate even further. Because within days, word of the creature reached beyond the city limits, and soldiers from nearby Fort Sill would soon have their own encounter. The police weren't the only ones shaken by these events. Just beyond the city of Lawton stood Fort Sill, a sprawling military installation that had seen its share of history.
Yeah.
Soldiers there were used to training under harsh conditions.
That's
They
right.
were
I forgot
prepared for
about
combat,
that.
for real danger in the field. But nothing in their training manuals could have prepared them for what some of them claimed to encounter on those same dark Oklahoma nights. According to reports that surfaced, a small group of soldiers stationed at Fort Sill had been driving back toward the base late one evening. The roads were quiet, the kind of silence only broken by the occasional hum of their engine and the wind across the prairie. That's when they noticed something moving in the distance, crossing the road ahead of them. At first, they thought it was a large dog, maybe even a coyote. But as their headlights swept across the figure, their assumptions shattered. This wasn't any animal they recognized. The shape was massive, its shoulders broad, its height far too tall for a wolf. What stunned them most was its posture. It didn't just run on four legs. In the glare of the headlights, it rose, standing upright, its stride long and deliberate. The soldiers slowed the vehicle, every one of them straining for a clearer look. Later, one would describe its eyes as glowing back at them like twin lanterns, yellow and sharp. Another swore he could see the muscles ripple beneath its coarse, dark fur, every movement powerful and controlled. And though they were armed men, trained to face real threats, an icy wave of fear swept through them. One soldier admitted later that he had reached instinctively for his weapon, but then froze. "I didn't know what I'd be shooting at," he said. It wasn't human, but it wasn't just an animal either. The vehicle came to a full stop as the creature paused in the middle of the road. For several tense seconds, it simply stood there, illuminated by the beam of the headlights. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, it bounded off the asphalt and into the brush,
Whoa.
gone in an instant. The men sat in silence for a long moment. Soldiers who would never hesitate in the face of an enemy found themselves unable to even speak. When they finally reached the base, their nerves were still frayed. They shared what they had seen among themselves. But word spread quickly. Something unexplainable was out there. And it wasn't just civilians reporting it anymore. For Lawton police, the involvement of soldiers changed everything.
I imagine.
Ordinary residents could be dismissed as hysterical or mistaken. But soldiers carried a different kind of authority.
Yeah.
They were trained to observe, to remain calm under pressure. And yet even they admitted they had been shaken to their core. By this point, the number of sightings had grown too large to ignore. Citizens were frightened, officers were uneasy, and now soldiers were whispering about the same beast. Within just 48 hours of Donald's first encounter, the situation escalated to a level Lawton had never seen before. That was when Major Clarence Hill, commander of the Police Patrol Division, made his move. He issued a rare and chilling directive to his men. Be on alert and watch for what he officially called the Wolfman. For the first time, the words that had once belonged to folklore were now stamped into a police order. The line between rumor and reality had blurred. And once that order went out, Lawton would never be the same.
I bet
By the
it
time
wouldn't.
the soldiers from Fort Sill had given their accounts, fear was no longer a whisper. It was spreading through the community like wildfire.
Oh, man.
The people of Lawton had locked their doors, kept their children inside, and eyed the streets with suspicion. Reports were no longer isolated. They were piling up one after another, all describing the same impossible creature. And the police could no longer ignore it. Within 48 hours of the first encounter, Major Clarence Hill, the commander of Lawton's Police Patrol Division, made a decision that still raises eyebrows to this day. He issued an order to his men, circulated across the force, warning them to stay vigilant for what he openly called the Wolf Man. Think about that for a moment. These were not just stories passed around at barbershops or whispered about in diners. This was an official communication, an acknowledgement that the department had seen enough credible accounts to justify a full alert. In the history of Oklahoma policing, few things have ever been stranger. The order meant that every officer on duty had to treat the threat as real. Patrols were tightened, officers were briefed, and whether they believed in monsters or not, they were suddenly working under the assumption that something unknown was stalking the town.
Man.
For the citizens, the effect was immediate. News spread quickly. If the police were taking it seriously, then there had to be truth to it. Neighbors talked in hushed tones about the order, repeating the phrase, "the Wolf Man," as if saying it too loudly might summon the creature itself. Newspapers picked up the story. Local headlines toyed with the idea that Lawton might have its own werewolf, fueling both curiosity and fear.
Might be.
Some reporters leaned into folklore, while others tried to keep it grounded, speculating it might be a misidentified bear or a large wolf that had wandered down from the Wichita Mountains. But none of those theories explained the details. The human-like posture, the unnatural speed, the way it seemed to stalk rather than flee. For the officers themselves, the situation was surreal. Some quietly admitted they felt uneasy every time their radios crackled with a new call. Others joked nervously, trying to lighten the tension, but even laughter couldn't mask the unease. Law enforcement was trained to deal with criminals, drunks, and the occasional dangerous animal. They weren't trained to face something that seemed to belong in nightmares. Major Hill's order was a turning point. What began as scattered reports had now become a matter of official record. And once the department formally recognized it, the story took on a life of its own. People no longer debated whether the creature was real. They debated what it was. Some swore it was a dog man, a cryptid whispered about in regional folklore. Others insisted it had to be a shapeshifter, pointing to the odd detail from Donald's account, that the beast appeared to be wearing pants far too small for its body, as if it had once been human, or was pretending to be. But whatever it was, the people of Lawton knew one thing. The line between legend and reality
had been crossed.
Their police force had just confirmed it. And yet, as strange as that moment was, it was only a prelude to the debates and wild theories that followed. Because now, with the entire town on edge, the creature was being called by a name few could ignore. The werewolf. When Major Hill's order went out, it didn't just rattle the police force. It shook the entire town of Lawton. Word spread quickly. Officers were now officially on the lookout for something their commander himself had called the Wolf Man. For a community used to headlines about school events and football scores, the idea that their own police were preparing for a monster sounded like something out of a horror film. But within days, the story took on a new life. Local newspapers picked it up. Radio stations buzzed with chatter. Some reports leaned into humor, suggesting that Lawton had its very own werewolf, while others took a more serious tone, pointing out how many witnesses were now describing the same thing.
Exactly.
The word werewolf stuck, not because everyone believed it, but because it was the only label that seemed to capture what people were seeing. A creature that moved between the worlds of man and beast. Skeptics, of course, pushed back. Some argued it was nothing more than mass hysteria, a chain reaction of fear spreading from neighbor to neighbor. Others suggested it was simply a case of mistaken identity. Perhaps a large dog or even a wolf wandering far from its natural territory. A few insisted it was a prankster in a costume, someone cruelly exploiting the panic. But none of those explanations accounted for the details that kept coming up again and again. The height, the glowing yellow eyes, the distorted, almost scarred-looking face, and, strangest of all, the odd detail from Donald's first encounter. That the creature appeared to be wearing pants far too small for its body. That detail became a lightning rod in the debate. For believers, it was proof the creature wasn't a normal animal. Some whispered it was a shapeshifter, caught between forms. Others claimed it was a cursed man, half transformed, unable to fully shed his human appearance. For skeptics, it was the most absurd detail of all. They used it as evidence that fear was clouding people's minds, that imaginations were filling in the blanks. But no matter which side people took, the sightings weren't slowing down. Reports kept pouring in, not just from Lawton, but from surrounding areas. Each time, the witnesses were convinced of what they had seen. Each time, the descriptions lined up too closely to dismiss. For the officers on duty, the werewolf debate wasn't a matter of belief. It was a matter of procedure. They were being told to take the call seriously, to respond as if the threat was real. More than one officer admitted later that he patrolled with a tighter grip on his shotgun that week.
I bet he did.
Scanning the tree lines with more suspicion than usual. Even those who laughed off the stories admitted that, deep down, something about the reports gnawed at them. And then came the whispers of folklore. Older residents began telling younger ones that Oklahoma had always been home to strange stories, tales of half-human creatures lurking in the woods and hills. Native legends, rural myths, and old campfire stories were suddenly being retold as if they had new relevance. Was Lawton just experiencing an echo of something people had always known was there? By now, the town was divided. Was this a prank, a wild animal, or something truly unnatural? The debate played out in homes, in diners, even in the local papers. But as the arguments swirled, the sightings themselves kept happening. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't going away. And soon, one man's story would take the debate to an even darker place. A hunter, alone in the woods, would claim to come face to face with the creature and swear it wasn't just watching him. It was hunting him. The debate over Lawton's Wolfman might have remained just that. A swirl of rumor, skepticism, and uneasy laughter, if not for the stories that continued to surface from people far beyond the city streets. One of the most chilling accounts came from a hunter known only by the name Clark. Clark was not the kind of man given to tall tales. He was an outdoorsman, someone who knew the rhythms of the woods and the behavior of animals. He had spent years hunting deer near his property, setting up stands, tracking patterns, and moving through the woods with quiet confidence. But one cold November evening in the 1980s, Clark encountered something that left him shaken for the rest of his life. He had been sitting in a deer stand, overlooking a small meadow about 50 yards across. The light was fading, that still moment when shadows stretch and the forest grows quiet. Clark expected a buck to emerge at any moment. Instead, he heard heavy rustling, too loud, too clumsy, too purposeful for any deer. Then, from the edge of the trees, it stepped into the clearing. Clark froze, barely daring to breathe. Standing there was a figure taller than any man he had ever seen, massive in both height and build. Its fur was pitch black, its chest broad, its head unmistakably canine. Long ears, sharp features, and eyes that seemed to burn even in the fading light. It wasn't just the size that horrified him. It was the way it moved. Confident, powerful, intelligent.
There you go.
For a few agonizing seconds, the The creature simply stood in the clearing, sniffing the air. Then, as if sensing his presence, it tilted its head and turned its gaze toward the stand. In that instant, Clark's body betrayed him. He felt warmth run down his leg. He had urinated himself out of sheer terror.
Man.
And he swore to his dying day that the thing smirked at him.
I bet it did.
That look was worse than any sound it could have made.
Well, you think about it. All the things we know about werewolves and dogmen, it's a bunch of Hollywood BS. The real thing is probably worse than we can possibly imagine. Now, these things are part human. And yeah, their human side will come out. And they can smell you. And they can smell, and they can tell when your scent has changed. When your scent's changed due to fear, of course they'll smirk at you. Because they know they're the ones that did that. This is not a creature you want to lock eyes with, as unfortunately many people in this story have already found out the hard way.
It wasn't just an animal acknowledging prey. It was something
aware.
Something aware.
Yeah.
Then, just as suddenly,
it turned away. That's its way of it looking up at him and saying, "The hell with you! You ain't even worth my time."
Striding across the clearing with long, deliberate steps.
Yeah, he knows he's
with a single leap.
It knows you're there.
Vaulted into the trees and was gone.
That right there is arrogance, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it knew he was right there, and it wanted to show him that it was not afraid of him. It strode away, confident, and said, "Yeah, like you're going to be able to do something to me. I could tear you apart limb from limb. See ya, pal."
Clark waited nearly 20 minutes before daring to climb down. But the nightmare wasn't over. As he made his way back toward his property, he realized he wasn't alone. From both sides of the path came sounds, rustling, heavy footsteps, the sense of being flanked. He couldn't see them, but he could hear them. More than one, maybe three, maybe more. His fear deepened when a carcass appeared in his path.
That's even worse. If there's one thing worse than one werewolf or a dog man, it's several of them. If it's a pack of them. And especially if they are stalking you or hunting you. That's the worst. Being hunted by a single one of these is bad enough. Being hunted by a pack, that's even worse.
A half-eaten deer torn clean in two.
Oh, man.
Blood pooled on the ground, the body still fresh. Clark understood the message immediately. He was being toyed with.
Yeah.
The stench was overpowering.
That's exactly what he was being
Rotting
doing.
meat, wet fur, and something acrid, like urine. It clung to the cold night air, thick and nauseating. His instincts screamed at him to run, but every step felt like it might trigger the attack that he knew was coming.
You never run from anything immortal. It attracts their attention. Those of you who know where that phrase is from, kudos to you. But yeah, if he had run, that would have been it. They would have chased him.
Somehow, he made it back to his property without being struck. But from that night forward, Clark never hunted in that stand again.
I bet he didn't.
He told only a handful of people what he saw.
That was them telling Clark, "Hey, we know you saw us. We know you saw our pack leader. We see you. We know you're there, and we want you to know we're there. And we want you to know that we can get you anytime we wish, if we want to."
And years later, when the stories from Lawton began to circulate again, he finally spoke in more detail. His description matched those of countless others. Tall, muscular, wolf-headed,
with
claws like knives,
Oh,
and
man.
eyes that burned with unnatural intelligence. For Clark, the debate was over. He believed, not only because he had seen it, but because he was convinced it had seen him too.
Oh, yeah.
And let him live only because it wanted to.
Yeah, that was it telling Clark, you exist because I allow you to. And that's the only reason.
And while his story might sound like folklore to some,
No.
it was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Because Lawton was not alone. Similar encounters were being whispered about across Oklahoma, and even beyond its borders. The Wolfman was not bound to a single town.
Of course it wasn't.
It seemed to belong to a much wider, darker world. Clark's story might have been terrifying on its own, but what truly unsettled researchers later was how often it echoed accounts from other regions. His description of a towering, black-furred creature with glowing eyes was not unique to Oklahoma. In fact, reports of similar beings stretched far beyond Lawton, weaving together a pattern that was difficult to dismiss. Take, for example, the account of a man traveling through rural Kentucky in the early 2000s. He had pulled over on a quiet two-lane highway to check his map when he felt the unmistakable sensation of being watched. At first, he saw nothing. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he noticed movement. Standing less than 10 feet away was what he could only describe as a living werewolf. The figure was massive, close to 10 feet tall, with muscles rippling beneath short, coarse black fur.
Ooh.
Its head resembled a Doberman,
Ooh.
its ears sharp and its eyes glowing yellow in the night. The man described the encounter as paralyzing. He couldn't move, couldn't speak, locked in the gaze of the creature's unblinking eyes. When he finally snapped out of it, instinct took over. He sped away so quickly, he nearly lost control of his car, convinced that if he had lingered another second, the beast would have torn him apart. Another chilling story came from across the border in Mexico. A cargo truck driver and his companions reported being attacked while traveling through an isolated jungle road at night. Something massive leapt into the back of their truck, shaking it violently. When they glanced into the mirrors, they saw a hulking, wolf-like figure clawing at the cabin. They drove in terror, swerving down the road until finally colliding with a tree dislodged it. In the morning light, they discovered claw marks gouged deep into the trailer and strange prints around the vehicle. Local villagers told them they were lucky to be alive.
Bad.
That the jungles were home to creatures known to prowl the night, part demon, part beast. Then there was the story of a taco truck owner in a small, Spanish town who grew tired of finding his vehicle mysteriously dented and clawed at night. At first, he thought vandals were to blame. But when he finally installed cameras, the truth was far worse.
Yeah, the Wolfman.
The footage showed a
I'm
massive
trying to get
canine
in
figure circling
because
the
you
truck,
wanted your tacos.
attacking it with raw force, sometimes charging from off-camera to ram it like a predator.
Be
testing
thankful
its
that's
prey.
all he wanted.
When he reported the footage, authorities confiscated the tapes.
Of
and warned
course.
him not to share them.
Of course.
To this day, he swears the images were the most terrifying proof he had ever seen.
I
And he
bet.
never parked his truck in that spot again.
I bet he didn't.
Even closer to Oklahoma, hunters and farmers told stories of livestock torn apart without explanation. One man in Arkansas claimed his beloved bloodhound had been slaughtered by something that left deep claw marks, unlike any he had ever seen. Deer carcasses were discovered ripped clean in half,
Oh, man.
not eaten, but torn as if to demonstrate raw strength. The smell, they said, was unforgettable. Wet fur, decay, and a sharp, acrid stench that clung to the night air. What tied all these accounts together wasn't just the descriptions of the creature, it was the fear. Witness after witness described the same bone-deep terror, a sense of being stalked by something that didn't just want to scare them, They wanted to dominate them, to make them understand they were prey. Skeptics could argue each case in isolation. A trick of the light, a misidentified animal, or a hoax. But when viewed together, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mexico, Spain, Arkansas, the similarities were undeniable. The towering height, the glowing eyes, the human-like intelligence, and above all, the lingering sense that the creature was not just wandering these places by chance. It was watching, choosing, testing. For Lawton, the debate had already turned to whispers of werewolves. But beyond its borders, the pattern was becoming harder to ignore. If the creature could appear in so many places, terrorizing so many different people, then maybe it wasn't just Lawton's problem at all. And soon, the horror would come even closer to home. Because back along the Arkansas River, a man named Roger would endure a personal tragedy that proved the beast wasn't just watching from the shadows. It was willing to kill. The stories from Kentucky, Mexico, and beyond painted a terrifying pattern. But for one Oklahoma man named Roger, the creature's presence wasn't just a rumor. It left its mark in the most brutal way possible, on his own land and on the life of his most trusted companion. Roger lived near the Arkansas River, in a quiet stretch of country where evenings were usually marked by the hum of cicadas and the steady rush of water. He had 4 dogs on his property, but his favorite was a bloodhound named Brave, a loyal animal he had raised from a pup. Brave was strong, fearless, and protective. But even his courage wasn't enough to face what came out of the woods. One evening, Roger returned home to a nightmare. Out in his back field, Brave lay battered and broken. Long, deep slashes cut across his body, 4 and 5 at a time. His chest was torn open, his eye missing, his frame crushed as if struck by something far more powerful than a man or ordinary predator. Roger dropped to his knees, sobbing over the animal he had loved for years. Whatever had done this hadn't simply killed Brave, it had destroyed him.
Yeah.
At first, Roger thought it might have been a bear. But as he looked closer, he realized the injuries didn't match. Bear's maul, crushing with weight and tearing haphazardly. These wounds were sharp, deliberate, almost surgical in their precision. They looked like the work of something intelligent, something that wanted to leave a message. That suspicion grew stronger when other remains began appearing near his property. A half-eaten deer, its body ripped clean in half. Smaller animals, shredded and left behind, not touched for food. The killings weren't about survival. They were about control, about showing dominance. Soon, the sound started. At night, Roger would hear screams echoing from the direction of the river. Not quite human, not quite animal. Deep, guttural cries that carried through the cold air and froze him in place. At times, the noises came closer, circling his property, as though whatever was out there wanted him to know it was watching. Roger armed himself. He admitted he never stepped outside after dark without a rifle in hand.
I don't blame him.
Even during the day, he felt the weight of unseen eyes from the tree line. On more than one occasion, he caught a glimpse of movement in the brush. Something black, massive and fast, retreating the moment he turned his head. For Roger, the mystery was no longer a matter of belief. His bloodhound was gone, his land was littered with carcasses, and the nights were filled with cries that didn't belong to any creature he had ever known. He didn't need legends or debates. He knew exactly what had killed Brave, and he knew it was still out there. And while his story might sound like an isolated tragedy, it wasn't. Because soon, another account would emerge. This time from a child who woke to find the nightmare not lurking in the woods or fields, but staring directly through his bedroom window.
Oh, man.
Roger's tragedy proved the creature could strike with violence, leaving behind broken bodies and broken hearts. But not every encounter happened deep in fields or along riverbanks. For one boy named Bob, the horror came much closer to home, just outside his bedroom window. Bob was only 12 years old when the incident happened, but he remembered it for the rest of his life. It was a warm night, and he had woken in the early hours to get a drink of water. After using the bathroom, he climbed back into bed, restless, tossing and turning. That's when the motion light outside his house suddenly clicked on. At first, Bob thought nothing of it. The light often caught stray cats or the wind moving across the yard. But this time felt different. Even with his eyes closed, he sensed the brightness seeping into his room, forcing him to open them. And when he did, his heart nearly stopped. Pressed against the glass of his bedroom window was a face, long, twisted, and hideous. It was not the face of any dog he had ever seen, and yet it was unmistakably canine. Its ears were pointed high, its snout elongated, and its eyes glowed with a terrible intelligence. Drool smeared across the glass as the thing dragged its mouth from side to side, leaving streaks of saliva. Bob was frozen in place. For a moment, he could do nothing but stare back at the beast staring at him. He described the expression as almost mocking,
I bet.
as if the creature was enjoying his fear.
I bet he was.
Then, just when he thought it couldn't get worse, the corners of its mouth curled. It was smirking. That was
Yeah.
enough to break him. With a scream, Bob leapt from his bed and bolted down the hall to his parents' room. His cries woke the house, and within moments, his father was at his side. Bob's father was a pastor, a man of faith who didn't dismiss his son's story as a nightmare or imagination. Instead, he prayed over the boy, calling on protection, pleading for peace. The family didn't go outside that night.
I bet they didn't.
They didn't dare. When morning came, the window bore faint streaks where the creature had pressed against it. Bob's parents comforted him, but they never suggested he had imagined it. For them, the fear in his voice was real, and the terror in his eyes undeniable. Years later, Bob admitted he had only ever seen the creature once, but once was enough.
I bet.
The memory of that snarling, smirking face at his bedroom window haunted him for the rest of his life.
I bet it did.
It was one thing to hear stories of beasts in the woods, or creatures roaming dark
See one
highways.
right at your window.
It was another to wake up and see it watching you from just inches away,
Yeah.
separated only by a
Thin pane of glass. Yeah.
For many, Bob's encounter was the most unsettling of all. If the creature could press its face against the window of a child's bedroom, then nowhere was safe. Not the highways, not the fields, not even your own home. And as chilling as that night was for Bob, the nightmare didn't end there. Because not long after, another witness came forward with a story even harder to ignore. One of being stalked for hours, trapped inside his own trailer as the creature prowled outside. If Bob's story showed how close the creature could come, then Jeffrey's encounter proved how relentless it could be. Unlike a fleeting glimpse through a car windshield or a shadow darting across a field, Jeffrey endured hours of terror as something circled his home again and again. Jeffrey lived alone in a small trailer on the edge of open land. It wasn't far from scattered woods and shallow canals, but it was quiet, isolated, the kind of place where sounds carried easily at night. He was no stranger to long evenings. Chronic pain kept him awake, and he often stayed up late doing dishes or reading. But in the months leading up to his encounter, strange things began happening around his property. It started with noises. Heavy thuds against the trailer walls, sharp bangs in the dead of night. At first, Jeffrey thought it was kids messing around or animals brushing against the siding. But then he noticed the dents, deep, deliberate impacts, and claw-like marks etched into the thin metal. Something wasn't just brushing past his trailer, it was testing it. One evening, while standing at his sink, Jeffrey glanced out the kitchen window. That was when his stomach dropped. Emerging from the brush was a figure that seemed pulled from his darkest fears. It was massive, upright, with long arms and a hunched frame covered in dark fur. Its eyes caught the faint porch light, glowing yellow as they locked onto him. For a moment, Jeffrey was frozen, the plate in his hand slipping into the sink and shattering. Panic surged through him. He dashed around the trailer, locking doors, slamming windows shut, and killing the lights. Heart pounding, he crouched in silence as the creature approached. For the next 45 minutes, Jeffrey listened as it paced outside. Slow, deliberate steps moving around the trailer again and again.
Yeah.
Sometimes the footsteps paused, only to resume moments later from another side, as if it were circling, studying, probing for weakness. The silence was the worst part.
I bet.
At times, the pacing stopped altogether, leaving Jeffrey straining his ears in the dark, convinced it was crouched just outside a window. He dared not peek through the curtains, terrified that the glowing eyes would be waiting for him. Minutes stretched into hours, each one heavier than the last. Then came the sound of scratching. Not frantic, not random, but steady, measured, as claws dragged lightly against the siding, tracing the thin walls of his home. Jeffrey held his breath, praying the creature would move on. Eventually, the noises stopped. Only much later, as dawn crept in, did he gather the courage to look outside. The ground was marked with impressions far too large for any dog or coyote. The siding bore fresh dents and shallow claw marks, proof that something had been there. Jeffrey's terror continued for nearly a year. The banging, the pacing, the clawing, always at night, always when he was alone. The encounters drove him to move out, a state entirely, leaving behind the trailer that had become a prison of fear. When he told his story later, skeptics dismissed it as nerves, an overactive imagination fueled by isolation. But Jeffrey remained firm. He hadn't wanted attention. He hadn't gone looking for folklore. Whatever stalked his trailer was real, and he believed it could have broken in at any time.
Oh, yeah.
It simply chose not to. Why? He never knew. But the sense that it had studied him, circled him, and tested him like prey stayed with him long after he left. For the people of Lawton and beyond, Jeffrey's story was a chilling reminder. The creature wasn't confined to rural fields or lonely highways. It could appear anywhere, watching, circling, waiting. And though decades have passed since those nights in Oklahoma, one truth remains. The mystery was never solved, and the reports never truly stopped. The stories you've just heard, from Donald's collapse at his window, to the soldiers at Fort Sill, to Roger's bloodhound, and the child who woke to a snarling face pressed against his glass, paint a disturbing picture of something that stalked Oklahoma in the 1970s. What makes these encounters unforgettable isn't just the fear they caused, but the credibility of those who lived them. Police officers, soldiers, hunters, and families, they all describe the same impossible thing. A towering, wolf-like being with intelligence in its eyes and power in its movements. Skeptics still argue it was hysteria, tricks of the light, or large animals misidentified in moments of panic. But those explanations falter when you realize how consistent the stories are. People separated by miles, by backgrounds, and by decades all gave nearly identical details. And perhaps most unsettling of all, the authorities themselves were forced to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
When a police commander issued an official alert telling his officers to be ready for
The Wolfman of Lawton
it blurred
County,
the line
Oklahoma.
between legend
Yeah.
and reality.
Yeah.
Lawton wasn't just dealing with rumors anymore. It was preparing for something real. So what exactly happened in Oklahoma? Was it a natural predator twisted by imagination?
No.
Or something truly outside the boundaries of our understanding? Did Lawton face a beast of flesh and blood? Or a nightmare that slipped into the waking world? We may never know the full truth. But one fact is certain. Those who saw it, heard it, or felt its presence were never the same. And for many in Oklahoma, the question still lingers. Was that winter the last time the Wolfman appeared? Or does it still prowl the shadows along the rivers and woods, waiting for another chance to show itself? If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. Do you believe these encounters were real? Have
Yes,
you
I
or
do.
someone you know ever witnessed something you couldn't explain?
Yeah.
Share your story in the comments below. And if this video kept you on edge, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next mystery we uncover. Tonight, we traveled through Oklahoma's darkest encounters. But there are countless other places where the unknown still walks. Stay alert, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the scariest part of the story isn't the monster itself, but the fact that no one can ever explain
what it truly was. Yeah.
Today.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. No. Werewolves are real, people. Evil exists in many forms. And there you go. That's one of them. The way, that thing was toying with that boy. It could have broken through that window and killed him. But it was toying with him. It was playing with him. It was playing with him. It enjoyed terrifying him. It enjoyed terrifying those people. Because it smirked at them. Because that thing was part human. Yeah, I've heard rumors of the Wolfman of Lawton County, Oklahoma. And like he said, and what really brings it home is that the authorities had to admit it was real. The police chief, the soldiers around Lawton, Oklahoma, at the fort, they had to admit it was real. Now that's just, oh my gosh. Dang. Damn, man. It's just, damn. Yeah. I guess that really brings to light the old saying, truth is stranger than fiction. Because too many people saw this thing. Not just the regular people, but the police and the soldiers stationed at the fort there in Lawton, Oklahoma. Yeah, Lawton, Oklahoma is not too far from where I am. I mean, and it'll still take a few hours to get there. It's still a ways away, but it's not too far from where Okmulgee is. I know. Oh man. Yeah, when it's your own home state and you watch something like this, yeah, it really brings it home. Yeah. Damn, I remember watching this the first time and I was glued to my seat. I was unnerved. I'm going, damn. I remember my mom telling me a story about when she used to date Rex Reeve a good friend of, a family friend of hers. And of course, she was just a teenager at the time. She didn't even know my dad. And they were out at the edge of town in Okmulgee. Of course, at that time, it was nothing but deep woods, people. They had the doors open, the windows rolled down. He and my mom were just laying back, just enjoying the beautiful night air. Because if I can remember what my mom said, it was a beautiful night. It was a beautiful night. And then all of a sudden, Rex looks in the back mirror or the rearview mirror, and he says, "Barbara, close the door. Close the door. So don't look back. Close the door. And put your seatbelt on." And she kind of looked at Rex. My mom kind of looked at Rex and, "What is with you?" And then she saw the look on his eyes going, "What is going on?" So she did exactly what she was told. Before she knew it, he had that car turned on in high gear, and they were running down the road. And she looked over and saw the look on Rex's face. He was white as a ghost. He was scared. He was scared. And he didn't stop until they were well deep in the town. It's the city itself. I think they stopped at Sonic, and they stayed there for a while. And finally, my mom got the courage to look over, and ask her, "Rex, what is going on? What's happening?" And he took a deep breath and said, "I don't know. But I saw something in the rearview mirror. It was big, and it was hairy. It wasn't a bear, because it walked on two legs. And I saw its eyes, and that was enough." Now, I actually thought it might have been Bigfoot. And I think Mom actually kind of thought it might be Bigfoot, because she had a Bigfoot encounter before when she was a child. She had the window open and the screen down to bring the cool air into her room on a summer night, and she heard a Bigfoot moan, and it scared her to death. But that's another story. But she said, I remember her telling me, well, though the real thing that really unnerved me, Tim, was that I remembered that summer night, and it was a full moon. Who knows? Who knows? You never know. You never know. You never know. But yeah, there's when you have something like that looks at you, and it can kill you if it wants to, and it decides to toy with you, and that it can smell your fear, and because of it, it makes it smirk like that, it's part human. It's not just an animal. It's an animal with human qualities. And that's even more terrifying. That's how terrifying real werewolves are. And I have to say, I have to agree with what Dick Miller said in The Howling. Don't believe all that Hollywood BS. It's just a bunch of phony baloney. It is. your basic werewolf can change whenever they feel like it. That's why they're called shapeshifters. And in Stephen King's Silver Bullet, Megan Follows tells Gary Busey and said, in the legend, the man who's the werewolf only changes with the wolf when the moon is full. But maybe he's like this. Maybe this one is like this all the time. Only as the moon gets fuller, there's more beast than man. And when the moon is all the way full, there's only the beast. There's no man. Which I think is an excellent theory. I remember, like I said, I remember watching this one week last October, and it was creepy. So, all right. Well, you got to think you're brave enough to continue on with me, because we're going to do some more Oklahoma spooktacular stuff. All right, these are the 12 terrifying legends that still haunt Oklahoma, brought to life. History and Legends, United States. All right. Oh, man. Hell, when that happens. All right, you guys ready? I know I am. Oh, man. So without further ado, here we go.
Today, we're bringing 12 terrifying legends back to life. Eerie tales that still haunt Oklahoma. Number 1. Stikini.
Oh, yeah.
In Seminole tradition, whispered stories tell of the Stikini, ordinary people by day, but creatures of horror by night. As dusk settles, they vomit out their hearts, hiding them safely away, and transform into owl-like demons with huge wings and glowing eyes. The Stikini soar silently through the trees, hunting for the most vulnerable prey, sleeping humans, especially children, feeding on their souls under the cloak of darkness. The legend carried a deep sense of fear among Seminole families in Oklahoma. It wasn't just a campfire tale, but a warning. Never wander too far after dark, and always listen for the cry of owls. Many believed that speaking openly of the Stikini could invite their presence, so the story was passed down in whispers, guarded carefully to keep children safe.
Now, that's the thing about Native American tales. I don't know if a lot of you have heard a lot of them. I have, and they're very interesting. They're very interesting. Now, I don't know whether we still have them or not, but I used to have North American, Native American tales that my mom got me. I don't know whether we still have it or not. I don't think we do. But, yeah, those stories were interesting. All right, let's continue on.
Hunters and travelers told of sudden flapping in the treetops or glowing eyes peering from the branches, leaving them chilled to the bone. In some versions, those who had been cursed by betrayal or black magic became Stikini, doomed to shed their humanity each night. The only way to defeat one was to find its hidden heart and destroy it before dawn. Today, the Stikini remain one of the most chilling figures in Oklahoma's native folklore. Whether seen as a cautionary tale or a genuine monster of the night, the image of the heartless owl witch lingers in the imagination. The story connects generations, reminding people of the thin line between the natural and the supernatural, where even an owl's cry might signal something far more sinister.
Ooh.
Number 2. Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Yeah, that's another thing. If Bigfoot does not exist, how come so many Native American tribes have stories about the Sasquatch? Tell me that. I'm sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, the Sasquatch is real. Bigfoot's real.
Deep in the forests of the Kiamichi Mountains, stories of a massive, hairy creature have circulated for generations. Native Choctaw legends describe a black, man-like giant, released by a witch long ago. Later settlers added to the lore, giving the monster a modern name, Bigfoot. Hunters spoke of giant tracks in the mud, trees broken as if by massive hands, and the sound of deep howls echoing across the valleys. In the 1970s, sightings surged in the small towns of southeastern Oklahoma, where frightened locals called it the Green Hill Monster. Witnesses described an ape-like figure nearly 7 feet tall, with glowing red eyes and an unbearable stench. Some said livestock were torn apart, while others swore they heard heavy footsteps outside their homes late at night. The legend became so strong that Honobia, Oklahoma, now hosts an annual Bigfoot festival where believers and skeptics alike gather to share stories. Researchers have scoured the area for tracks and evidence, but the mystery endures. Many claim the dense forests and hidden valleys make the perfect home for such a creature to remain unseen. For locals, Bigfoot is more than a myth. It's a part of Oklahoma's cultural identity, tying together native folklore, settler fear, and modern mystery. Whether a flesh and blood creature or a shadow of old stories, Bigfoot continues to walk through the imagination of those who call these forests home.
Now, he's more than just a story.
Number 3. Aunt Jane. Fort Washita was built in 1842 as a military post to protect settlers and native tribes during a turbulent time on the frontier. But along with its long history of battles and hardship came a ghost story that has never left, the legend of Aunt Jane. Some say she was a woman traveling west. Others insist she was a soldier's wife. But all the tales agree on one thing. She was murdered at the fort under mysterious circumstances. Since then, people claim her spirit has remained among the ruins. Visitors describe seeing a tall woman in a flowing gown carrying a lantern, moving slowly across the grounds as though searching for something she lost. Soldiers stationed there more than a century ago even reported footsteps echoing across the parade ground when no one was in sight, and some heard whispers carried by the wind on quiet nights. Over time, Aunt Jane became the fort's most famous resident ghost. Some describe her as protective, like she is watching over the place she once called home. Others believe she is restless, forever tied to the site where her life was cut short. Those who walk through Fort Washita today often mention sudden cold drafts, the scent of old perfume, or the uneasy feeling of being watched. Today, the fort stands as both a preserved historic site and one of the most haunted places in Oklahoma. The story of Aunt Jane reminds us that behind the stone walls and dusty cannons were real lives and tragedies, and perhaps even today, some spirits remain unwilling to leave. Number 4. Shaman's Portal. In the Oklahoma Panhandle lies Beaver Dunes Park, a windswept stretch of sand often called Oklahoma's Bermuda Triangle. Here, native legends speak of strange disappearances and portals hidden beneath the dunes. Spanish explorers in the 1500s were said to vanish without a trace, swallowed by the earth itself, while later settlers claimed to see glowing lights and feel tremors deep in the sand. The place earned a reputation for swallowing people whole. Local stories link the mystery to native shamans, who were believed to have cursed the land long ago to protect sacred secrets. Ranchers in the 20th century reported watching friends walk into the dunes and never return, leaving behind only scattered tracks. Some researchers even suggested underground energy fields, while others claimed the dunes hid ancient ruins from a lost civilization. The legend grew so strong that Beaver Dunes became a hotspot for paranormal investigators. Visitors told of strange humming sounds beneath the sand, or sudden flashes of green light at night that lit up the desert sky. Metal detectors malfunctioned, and compasses spun wildly, as if unseen forces were at work. Whether it's a natural mystery, an old curse, or something otherworldly, the Shaman's Portal remains one of Oklahoma's most chilling legends. The empty beauty of Beaver Dunes carries with it a warning. Here, the earth itself might open up and claim those who dare to wander too far. Number 5. Wampus Cat.
Oh yeah, the Cherokee Monster.
Among the Cherokee people comes the chilling story of the Wampus Cat, a creature born from both punishment and curse. The legend tells of a woman who broke tribal law by spying on a sacred men's ceremony. When caught, she was transformed into a monster, doomed to wander forever as half woman, half panther. Her glowing yellow eyes, sharp claws, and terrifying scream marked her as something no one dared approach. Generations of hunters and travelers across the southern mountains described encounters with this beast. Some said it appeared as a panther walking upright, moving with uncanny speed between the trees. Others swore they only heard it, a piercing scream that froze them in their tracks, echoing across valleys like the cry of both a woman and a wild animal. Families often told children to stay close at night, warning that the Wampus Cat hunted the careless. In Oklahoma, the Wampus Cat became tied to the deep forests and shadowed rivers near Cherokee settlements. Stories of livestock mutilated without explanation were often blamed on her, and hunters refused to track her through the night. Some versions say she targeted men specifically, a reminder of her punishment, stalking them with a vengeance that never faded.
Well, that makes sense.
The Wampus Cat endures as more than just a frightening tale. It is a lesson woven into folklore. She embodies the danger of breaking sacred traditions, the power of curses, and the mystery of the wilderness. Even today, when the wind howls through the trees in Oklahoma's hills, people recall the stories and wonder if the cry belongs to nothing earthly at all.
How true.
Number 6. Bobby Creek Crybaby Bridge.
Oh yeah. Shawnee, Oklahoma. That's not too far from where I am. I've never been to Crybaby Bridge, and from what I've heard from the stories, I don't ever want to go there, especially at night.
Near Shawnee, Oklahoma, sits one of the state's most infamous haunted sites, Crybaby Bridge. According to legend, a woman long ago, overwhelmed by grief or despair, dropped her baby into the waters below. Since then, countless people who have crossed the bridge at night claim to hear the faint, heartbreaking cries of an infant rising from the creek. For decades, local teenagers turned the bridge into a place of dares. They would park their cars in the center, switch off their headlights, and sit in silence. Many swore they heard the sound of a baby wailing in the dark. Some even claimed to find tiny handprints on their car windows afterward, as if something unseen had pressed against the glass. Others told of their vehicles rocking gently, as though nudged by small, invisible hands. The story grew with every generation, blending sorrow with fear. Some claimed to see a woman in white drifting near the bridge's edge, searching endlessly for her lost child. Others believed the cries were not only echoes of tragedy, but warnings, punishing those who mocked the legend or failed to show respect. The mix of grief and mystery made the bridge one of Oklahoma's most retold ghost stories. Whether born from a true event or shaped by imagination, Crybaby Bridge has never lost its hold on the community. Drivers still slow down as they cross, listening for a sound carried on the night air. When the creek runs quiet and the wind is still, some say the wails of that lost child can still be heard, reminders of a sorrow that refuses to be silenced.
How
Number
sad.
7. Hornet Spooklight.
Oh, yeah.
On a lonely stretch of road near Quapaw, Oklahoma, locals whisper about the Hornet Spooklight, a mysterious glowing orb that has baffled people for more than a century.
Right.
The light, often described as a flickering ball that dances above the treetops or hovers along the road, first gained attention in the late 1800s. Sometimes it appears as a soft orange glow. Other times it splits into two, darting quickly back and forth before vanishing. Many believe the spooklight is the restless spirit of a Native American couple who died tragically while fleeing pursuit. Others say it is the lantern of a miner searching for his family, lost long ago. Skeptics argue it's car headlights refracting through the hills, but those who have seen it swear it behaves unlike any machine-made light. Witnesses describe it rushing toward their cars, hovering beside them, or suddenly shooting into the woods at impossible speeds. The phenomenon became so famous that in the 1940s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers investigated. Their conclusion was unsettling. The light source could not be explained. Since then, the road has drawn countless curious travelers, ghost hunters, and scientists alike, all hoping to see the dancing glow with their own eyes.
Interesting.
The Hornet Spooklight remains one of Oklahoma's greatest mysteries. Whether a trick of the land, a lingering soul, or something from beyond, it continues to appear without warning. On dark nights, drivers who stop along Spooklight Road often wait in silence, scanning the horizon. Number 8. Tulsa Hex House.
Oh, yeah.
During the 1940s, a small home in Tulsa became the center of one of Oklahoma's strangest tales, the Hex House. Behind its ordinary walls lived Carol Ann Smith, a woman who practiced bizarre rituals and manipulated others into believing she held dark, supernatural powers. She convinced two women to live in her basement for years, working without pay and surrendering their money under the spell of what they believed was witchcraft. When the story broke in 1944, it shocked the city. Investigators uncovered strange shrines, mysterious candles, and documents describing occult-like practices. The women testified that Smith had terrified them with threats of curses if they disobeyed. Newspapers branded it the Hex House, and for years afterward, the site was considered cursed ground. Even after the house was demolished, locals continued to claim strange activity lingered on the land. Some reported eerie shadows moving across the lot at night, while others swore they felt watched when passing by. Halloween tours in Tulsa often included the story of the Hex House, cementing it as one of the city's darkest legends.
You know, that's really creepy because Tulsa is right down on the alley or right down the road where I live. Just like less than 30 minutes will take you straight to the Bixby, Tulsa area. And Tulsa's a big city. Man. Yeah, that's creepy that you got one right here in Tulsa.
The Hex House remains a reminder of how belief and fear can blur into legend.
Mm-hmm.
Though no ghost was ever proven to haunt it, the tale of manipulation, ritual, and the power of suggestion gave it a supernatural reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it endures as one of Tulsa's most unsettling stories, where truth and folklore became forever intertwined.
Yep. In old Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Number 9. Magnetic Hill. Near Springer, Oklahoma, lies a hill that defies the rules of gravity. Known as Magnetic Hill, this curious spot makes cars appear to roll uphill when placed in neutral. Locals and visitors alike have tested it, watching in amazement as their vehicles creep upward on their own. Children laugh, tourists snap photos, and many leave scratching their heads at the strange illusion. The legend surrounding the hill adds to its mystery. Some say it is caused by powerful magnetic forces beneath the earth, while others tell a darker tale, that the hill is haunted by the ghosts of children who died in a tragic accident. According to the story, their spirits push cars uphill to keep drivers safe from danger, leaving behind small handprints in the dust on bumpers. Scientists explain it as an optical illusion, where the surrounding landscape tricks the eyes into seeing a slope where none exists. But for those who have visited, the explanation doesn't erase the eerie feeling of watching a car drift uphill all by itself. The sense of wonder and the whispers of restless spirits are too strong to ignore.
I bet that's creepy.
Magnetic Hill remains one of Oklahoma's strangest roadside attractions, blending science and folklore. Whether it's the pull of the earth or the push of ghostly hands, visitors continue to come, eager to experience the impossible. And as their cars roll against gravity, many can't help but wonder if the legends might hold a grain of truth.
Yeah. Really.
Number 10. Oklahoma octopus.
Oh, yeah. Lost Tapes on Animal Planet had a documentary about this even. I think they even did one on Animal X, too. Now, this was interesting.
Oklahoma might seem like the last place you'd expect to see a sea monster, but for decades, stories of the Oklahoma octopus have circulated around its lakes. Swimmers tell of something large and unseen lurking beneath the murky water, pulling people under with sudden force. With drowning reports higher than average in these lakes, the tale of a giant octopus hiding in the depths has only grown stronger. Descriptions vary, but most agree it is a reddish-brown creature with long, powerful tentacles, capable of dragging even full-grown adults beneath the surface. Though no evidence has ever proven such an animal exists in freshwater, locals insist too many accidents and strange ripples can't be explained away.
Yeah.
Fishermen have reported seeing shadows in the water far larger than any fish known in the region. Skeptics argue it's a modern legend, born from fear of dangerous waters and exaggerated by campfire tales. But the story has deep roots, with whispers among native tribes about water spirits that lured the careless to their doom. These older beliefs of water creatures and dangerous guardians may have helped shape the modern myth of the Oklahoma octopus. Today, the lakes remain popular, but visitors can't resist sharing the legend. Parents warn children not to swim too far,
Yeah.
and teens daring one another laugh nervously at what might be below.
Yeah.
Real or not, the Oklahoma octopus has become one of the state's most chilling aquatic mysteries, one that continues to draw both thrill seekers and skeptics to its waters.
Yeah. That is creepy.
Number 11. Purple Church.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden in the woods near Spencer, Oklahoma, lies the site of a burned-down church that locals call the Purple Church. Though little of it remains, the place has become infamous for dark legends of witchcraft, cult rituals, and ghostly activity. Some claim that satanic groups once gathered there, painting its walls with disturbing symbols, giving the site its eerie nickname. Over the years, people who dared to visit at night reported strange chanting, bonfires that vanished when approached, and the sound of footsteps crunching in the leaves when no one was there. Graffiti, strange markings, and animal bones left behind only added to the site's sinister reputation. The stories spread so widely that even police officers warned locals not to go near the area after dark. Visitors often speak of an oppressive heaviness that settles over the land. Some claim to see ghostly figures darting among the trees or pairs of glowing eyes watching from the shadows. Others whispered of sacrifices, either symbolic or real, that gave the Purple Church its haunting energy. Whether fact or fueled by fear, the legends remain firmly tied to the site. Though little evidence proves the darkest claims, the Purple Church has secured its place as one of Oklahoma's most frightening tales.
I
What
bet.
was once just an abandoned ruin became a canvas for people's worst fears, a place where the imagination filled in the gaps. Even today, locals pass the story on, warning that the Purple Church is not a place to test bravery lightly.
I can imagine.
Number 12. Murdoch's Mansion.
Tulsa. Huh.
In Tulsa, the ruins of a once grand estate known as Murdoch's Mansion became a source of ghostly legends. Built by a wealthy doctor in the early 20th century, the mansion was said to hide secrets of greed and cruelty. Rumors spread that the doctor experimented on patients, or that tragedies befell those who lived within its walls. And when the mansion eventually fell into ruin, its ghostly reputation only grew stronger. By the mid-20th century, thrill seekers and locals wandered the remains, reporting flickering lights in the windows, though the house had no power. Strange whispers echoed through the halls, and shadowy figures were said to appear in doorways before vanishing into thin air. Some even claimed to hear the faint cries of children, though no record proved such a story. Murdoch's Mansion became so infamous that stories circulated of cursed ground, where bad luck followed those who removed objects from the site.
Oh, why
Fires,
would you want to?
accidents, and eerie coincidences were tied back to the mansion, strengthening the belief that something dark lingered there. Paranormal groups visited in search of proof, but the legend only deepened when little could be explained. Though the original structure is long gone, Murdoch's Mansion lives on in Oklahoma lore. Locals still whisper about it as one of the most haunted spots in Tulsa's history, a reminder of how quickly tragedy and mystery can entwine. In its ruins, people saw more than stone and timber. They saw shadows of the past that refused to fade. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.
Yeah. I remember watching this. I think I watched this after, excuse me. I think I watched... No. Sorry about that. I think I watched this after Wolfmen of Lawton County, and yeah, man, that was creepy. Especially creepy to know that there was at least 2 places in Tulsa that were bad juju. Oh, man. All right, let's see. Where are we? Oh, wow, it's 6:55. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I'll save Sir Spooks for next time. Tell you what, and I'll save top 15 and police reveal. How much is this? How long is this? 28:30. Okay, that is, and this is.
Most people think of Oklahoma.
21:11. Okay. 28:26. I'll tell you what, we'll do, I explored 13 most mysterious towns in Oklahoma, and we'll save this one and the 2 I watched from Sir Spooks for next time. How about that? All right, one more tonight, guys, and then I'm going to get off, okay? All right. Oh, by the way, a special thank you to my 2 new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much. Let's see. All right. Last one tonight. I explored 13 most mysterious towns in Oklahoma. All right. Let's do this, and we'll be done for tonight.
Most people think of Oklahoma as endless plains, old Route 66 highways, and oil rigs. But hidden beyond the cattle fences and quiet roads are entire towns lost in time. Some were abandoned in hours, others crumbled over decades, and a few were never meant to survive at all. In this video, we are going to uncover 13 ghost towns in Oklahoma that you meant to know. But before diving into our countdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stick around till the end, because the #1 ghost town on this list is wrapped in one of the weirdest stories the internet has ever produced. Number 13, Acme, Grady County. Down a quiet road near Rush Springs, Oklahoma, sits the forgotten town of Acme, once the site of a booming cement operation. This place wasn't built to last forever, and it didn't. In the early 1900s, the Acme Cement and Plaster Company set up shop here after discovering a rich bed of gypsum in the area. The company built everything from scratch: a mill, a power plant, worker housing, and even its own post office. At its peak, Acme was home to hundreds of workers and their families, all tied to one industry: gypsum cement. But like many company towns, it had a short life. By the 1930s, the gypsum deposits were running low. The plant shut down, and just like that, the workers left. Homes were torn down, machinery removed, and nature slowly took over. Today, all that's left are some crumbling foundations, chunks of concrete, and traces of old rail lines. A few scattered ruins peek out from the grass, barely hinting at the industrial town that once stood here. Acme may not have lasted long, but it left behind a quiet footprint, and a story buried beneath the Oklahoma dust. Number 12. Allouez, Nowata County.
Nowata County.
Allouez once stood near the Verdigris River in Nowata County, northeastern Oklahoma. Today, it's a memory, buried beneath Lake Ologa. The town of
Lake
Allouez was
Ologa,
founded
yeah.
in the late 1800s and grew rapidly thanks to farming, a local school, a post office, and even nearby oil drilling in the early 20th century. It wasn't a bustling city, but it was a close-knit community where generations lived and worked. Families raised crops, ran small stores, and lived quiet rural lives. Then everything changed in the 1950s. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced plans to build Ologa Dam, which would flood the entire town site to create Lake Ologa for flood control and water supply. Residents were forced to relocate, many of them moving to a newly built town called New Allouez, just a few miles west. By 1955, Old Allouez was completely evacuated. When the dam was completed in the 1960s, the town disappeared under the rising water. Today, Allouez's original location lies beneath the lake's surface. There are no buildings left, no signs, only the quiet memory of a town that was sacrificed for progress. You won't find ruins, but for many families in Nowata County, the name still means something. Their roots are still underwater. Number 11. Coosa, Okmulgee County.
Oh.
Coosa lies just east-northeast of Henrietta, Oklahoma, off
Oh, that's just hop, skip, and a jump away from where I am in Okmulgee. Coosa. Yeah, it's right. It's not too far from Henrietta. Henrietta's not too far from where I am.
U.S. Highway 266 in Okmulgee County.
Okmulgee
Founded in
County.
1960, Oklahoma, off U.S. Highway 266 in Okmulgee County.
It's Okmulgee County, you guys, not Okmulgee County. It's Okmulgee County. But, oh well.
Founded in 1916, Coosa grew up around coal mining and zinc smelting in the Henrietta Coal District. Between 1915 and 1928, its large horizontal smelter processed ore for regional use. At its height, Coosa was the county's largest town, with a population around 3,500. It had a newspaper, the Coosa Industrial, banks, hotels, a movie theater, and its own power plant. By the late 1920s, zinc production ended, 1928, followed by the closure of coal mines. The town's fate was sealed when the railroad stopped serving it, and Highway 266 bypassed Coosa. Without industry or transport, incorporation was eventually dissolved. Today, nearly all buildings are gone. What remains are scattered foundations, broken rail ties, and a few overgrown ruins amid tall grass near Coosa Road.
What a shame.
A handful of residents live in the area, but the town itself is gone. Coosa boasted its own newspaper, the Coosa Industrial, which ran from about 1914 to 1920. A February 1916 issue famously declared Coosa was no place for an idler, reflecting the town's once widespread optimism. Number 10. Brinkman, Greer County. Brinkman lies in southwestern Oklahoma, just west of Mangum, near the junction of State Highway 9 and County Road S2420. Founded in 1910, Brinkman began as a railroad town on the Chicago, Rock Island, and Gulf Line. It thrived as a local shipping point for cotton, livestock, and grain, supporting surrounding farms. By the early 1920s, Brinkman had a few hundred residents. It featured a school, cotton gins, businesses, and a small rail yard, enough to sustain a modest rural community. In 1929, a major fire devastated its business district. Attempts to rebuild were hampered by the Great Depression and declining rail traffic. By the 1930s, the rail line was discontinued and Highway 9 bypassed the town. Without its railroad or economy, the community emptied out. Today, Brinkman is nearly leveled. Only fragments remain: the old schoolhouse foundation, a small cemetery, and a few weathered wooden posts. Nature has reclaimed much of the old town site. Although seldom noted now, Brinkman once rivaled nearby Mangum in importance as a rail hub for local farms. That early era is still captured in the remaining grain elevator ruins, silent witnesses to its boom and bust. Number 9. Boggy Depot, Atoka County. Boggy Depot sits about 11 miles west of Atoka, just off Highway 7 on Park Lane Road. It's now part of Boggy Depot Park, managed by the Chickasaw Nation. Founded in 1837 by Chickasaw settlers who had been relocated to Indian Territory, Boggy Depot quickly became a major trading center on the Texas Road, and later a stage stop on the Butterfield Overland Mail Route. It briefly served as the capital for the Choctaw Nation in the late 1850s. In the 1850s and 1860s, Boggy Depot thrived as a military road hub. It housed Choctaw and Chickasaw agencies, the first Chickasaw Masonic Lodge, a schoolhouse, a church, supply stores, a mill, and a cotton gin. After the Civil War, the Missouri-Kansas-Texas Railroad was routed 12 miles east, bypassing Boggy Depot in 1872. Nearby Atoka gained prominence, and Boggy Depot's population dwindled. Its post office closed in 1934, marking its final fade. Today, you'll find only a few stone foundations and a small cemetery, the graves of Chief Allen Wright, who coined Oklahoma, and missionary Cyrus Kingsbury remain. The park has a visitor center and walking trails, but that's about all. In 1866, Choctaw Chief Allen Wright coined the word Oklahoma, a fusion of Choctaw words meaning red people. He was buried in the cemetery here. Number 8. Ingalls, Payne County.
Payne.
Ingalls is located about 8 miles southwest of Stillwater, near the intersection of county roads 2020 and 2170 in Payne County, Oklahoma.
Good old Stillwater.
Founded in 1892, Ingalls sprang up along the Santa Fe Railroad as a small farming and ranching support town. Its name came from Judge John Ingalls, an Atchison, Kansas figure. Despite being small, Ingalls held a post office, 1894 to 1904, a blacksmith shop, general store, and a school. Population numbers weren't officially recorded, but estimates place it in the low dozens, enough to serve local families and travelers. The town couldn't grow beyond its rail stop beginnings. The post office closed in 1904, and people gradually moved to nearby Stillwater and Cushing. Without a post office or rail purpose, Ingalls faded into obscurity. Today, only a few remnants remain. A historic marker at the old school site, 1 or 2 building foundations, and overgrown tracks near the railroad line. Ingalls was the site of a famous shootout in 1893, known as the Battle of Ingalls, when U.S. Marshals confronted the Doolin-Dalton gang. The encounter left Marshal Heck Thomas wounded, and outlaw Bill Doolin shot, making national news at the time.
Doolin and
Before the
Dalton.
transition, I hope you are enjoying this video so far, so make sure to give us a gentle thumbs up. It would mean a lot. Now let's move to Pittsburg County for our next ghost town. Number 7. Adamson, Pittsburg County. Adamson lies between McAllister and Wilburton, just off State Highway 31 and East Adamson Road in Pittsburg County. Established in the early 1900s as a coal mining town, Adamson was reportedly named after mine owner Peter Adamson. By around 1913, it was a booming community centered on 15 active coal shafts. During World War I, Adamson reached its peak. In 1913 to 1919, the town swelled to around 3,500 residents. Rail lines from the Rock Island and Katy railroads carried coal from its mines daily. The turning point came on September 4th, 1914, when Mine No. 1 collapsed, trapping 14 miners underground. This disaster, one of the worst in Oklahoma's mining history, effectively ended mine activity. The mines closed, and the town's population began dropping sharply. Today, Adamson is nearly empty. A handful of older homes remain occupied. The mine shafts are flooded, concrete abutments from Mine No. 1, and a memorial marking the tragedy still exist. the old business district has vanished, overtaken by fields and forest. After the cave-in, workers found that coal shafts on top of each other collapsed in a chain reaction, and the earth dropped about 8 to 10 feet. To this day, the mine entrance is sealed, and local folklore tells that the mules were lifted out first, leaving their human counterparts behind.
Of course.
A veteran miner later said the town never truly recovered after that day.
I bet.
Number 6. Cloud Chief, Washita County.
Washita
Cloud
County.
Chief lies about 8 miles south of New Cordell, just east of Highway 54, and near US 152 in Washita County. The town began in April 1892, originally named Tacola, following the land run into former Cheyenne-Arapaho territory. Soon after, it was renamed Cloud Chief and designated the first county seat of Washita County by Congress. At its peak in the mid-1890s, Cloud Chief had around 700 residents. It boasted a courthouse, schools, 2 newspapers, and a business district serving the surrounding farms and settlers. In 1900, residents voted to move the county seat to nearby Cordell. Although this was initially ruled illegal, Congress and President Roosevelt approved the move by 1906. Without its administrative role, access to rail and businesses followed. The post office closed in 1964, and the town formally lost its charter. Today, only a few stone foundations, the old schoolhouse structure, and a small cemetery remain. The high school built in 1938 by the WPA still stands, now used for storage and animal shelter. A historical marker and overgrown buildings mark where the town once thrived. The Battle of County Seats saw Cloud Chief's courthouse dismantled and carried off to New Cordell, sparking legal battles that reached the U.S. Supreme Court. Number 5. Bickford, Blaine County.
Okay.
Bickford sits deep in Blaine County, about 5 miles east of Canton, off
Where's
County
Dewey?
Road NS 421. It's located within Roman Nose Canyon. Established around 1904, Bickford was founded by the Roman Nose Gypsum Company as a company town to support gypsum mining and processing. It included a mill, rail spur, housing, and a post office. At its peak, Bickford supported hundreds of workers and their families, operating as a central hub for gypsum extraction in the region. Formal population counts are hard to find, but company records indicate a self-sufficient town. By the late 1920s, water sources that powered gypsum milling began to dry up. Without adequate water, operations came to a halt. The mill shut down, and residents abandoned the town soon after. Today, Bickford is extremely remote and difficult to reach. The gutted remains of a few concrete silos, mill ruins, and large pits are all that remain. The area is overgrown, and few pieces of the company town's infrastructure survive. Bickford was named after Charles Bickford, an early company official. During its short-lived boom, it was considered one of Oklahoma's most modern gypsum operations, with electricity, water lines, and company housing typical of much larger towns. Number 4. Douthat, Century, Ottawa County. Douthat, also known as Century, was located just east of Pitcher, part of Oklahoma's infamous Tar Creek mining area in Ottawa County, near the Kansas border. The town was founded in the early 1900s as small-scale lead and zinc mining boomed in the region. It became one of many company towns serving the Tar Creek mining district. At its height, Douthat was home to hundreds of miners and their families who worked in local shafts and mills. Though smaller than nearby Pitcher, it had a fully operational post office and worker housing. By the mid-20th century, the mines were producing less ore. Environmental damage and flooding in mine shafts increased health concerns. The town was officially evacuated in the late 1990s as part of the federal Superfund program to clean up toxic waste from mining operations. Today, the area lies within the Tar Creek Superfund site. Virtually no buildings remain. Most were demolished due to contamination. A few roads and driveways remain, but that's all. The ground is unsafe to walk on in places, and signs warn visitors of heavy metal hazards. Douthat was absorbed into the larger evacuation of Pitcher in 2009, and all remaining structures were removed by 2010. It stands as one of the most complete examples of toxic legacy ghost towns in U.S. history. Number 3. Texola, Beckham County. Texola sits right on the Oklahoma-Texas border along historic Route 66, about 25 miles east of Shamrock, Texas, and just off Interstate 40. Founded in 1901 as part of the Oklahoma Territory, Texola grew into a service town for ranchers and travelers. The arrival of Route 66 in the 1920s brought gas stations, motels, restaurants, and other roadside businesses catering to cross-country drivers. In the 1930s and 1940s, Texola flourished. The population reached about 581 by the 1930 census. The town contained several diners, a post office, 2 churches, a school, and even a dance hall. After the completion of Interstate 40 in 1975, Route 66 traffic dried up. Businesses closed one by one. Without tourism, Texola couldn't survive. The post office shut its doors in 1992, and the town continued to empty out. Today, around 20 to 30 residents remain in Texola. Dozens of abandoned buildings, old motels, service stations, and homes still stand, creating an eerie Route 66 ghost town. Rusty signage, broken windows, and empty lots give it a movie set feel. Texola has 2 zip codes, one for Oklahoma and one for Texas, even though the Texas side has no residents. This unusual postal quirk reflects its unique border town history. Number 2, Numa, Grant County. Numa is located in northern Oklahoma, about 4 miles west of Pond Creek, just south of State Highway 15 in Grant County. Founded in 1898, Numa began as a railroad stop on the Gulf Railroad to serve local farms and grain elevators. It grew with the promise of new tracks and farming opportunities. At its height in the early 1900s, Numa had a post office, hotel, general store, and grain elevator. Population estimates suggest around 150 residents, enough to sustain a small farming community. The town began to decline after the railroad company discontinued service in 1943, and the post office closed that same year. Without rail access or a post office, local residents moved on, and farms consolidated. Today, only a few ruins remain. A weathered grain elevator base, the ruins of a warehouse foundation, and remnants of a washed-out wooden rail bridge over a creek. The roads are dirt, and the land has returned to farmland. You can drive by once and easily miss it. Numa earned a reputation as the smallest official town on the Gulf Railroad line. Just large enough to support a stop, but never large enough to thrive once the tracks were removed. Number 1. Pitcher, Ottawa County. Pitcher lies in far northeastern Oklahoma, within the Tar Creek Superfund site, close to the Kansas border.
Oh, yeah.
It sits near former US 69 and a short drive from Commerce and Miami. Established in 1913 as a lead and zinc mining town, Pitcher quickly became a major center in the Tri-State Mining District. Mining boomed during both World Wars, supplying 50% of the nation's lead for bullets and metals. By 1926, Pitcher had approximately 14,000 residents, with bustling mills, schools, businesses, and nearly 250 mining plants. Mining ended in 1967, and water pumps were shut off, causing mines to flood and contaminate groundwater with lead, zinc, cadmium, and other toxins. Pitcher was added to the Superfund list in 1983. An EF4 tornado in May 2008 destroyed over 150 homes, pushing the remaining population to decline. A federal buyout began in 2009, and Pitcher was officially disincorporated on September 1st, 2009. By the 2010 census, just 20 residents remained. Virtually all buildings have since been demolished. Only roadbeds, a few concrete foundations, chat piles, mining waste heaps, and toxic tailings remain. Warning signs and Superfund markings are now common. The remaining 72 million tons of chat were once used by kids for sledding and quail hunting. It's now part of the EPA's cleanup challenge. Known as the most toxic ghost town in America, Pitcher is slowly being reclaimed by the Quapaw Nation, who own most of the land. Now, as we wrap up our journey, let us know which town surprised you the most. Drop your favorite in the comments. And if you think we missed one, let us know. We're always looking for the next ghost town to explore.
Hey, did I miss anything? Sorry about that, guys. Oops. Sorry about that.
Most people think of and if you think we missed one, let us know. Homes, pushing the remaining population to decline. A federal buyout began close to the Kansas border. It sits near former within the Ottawa County. Pitcher lies in far northeastern Oklahoma,
guys.
within the Tar Creek Superfund site, close to the Kansas border.
All right.
It sits near former US 69 and a short drive from Commerce and Miami.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, when we were going to Kansas one time, I think we drove past a little place called Pitcher, Oklahoma.
Established in 1913 as a lead and zinc mining town, Pitcher quickly became a major center in the tri-state mining district. Mining boomed during both world wars, supplying 50% of the nation's lead for bullets and metals. By 1926, Pitcher had approximately 14,000 residents, with bustling mills, schools, businesses, and nearly 250 mining plants. Mining ended in 1967, and water pumps were shut off, causing mines to flood and contaminate groundwater with lead, zinc, cadmium, and other toxins. Pitcher was added to the Superfund list in 1983. An EF4 tornado in May 2008 destroyed over 150 homes, pushing the remaining population to decline.
What a shame.
A federal buyout began in 2009, and Pitcher was officially disincorporated on September 1st, 2009. By the 2010 census, just 20 residents remained. Virtually all buildings have since been demolished. Only roadbeds, a few concrete foundations, chat piles, mining waste heaps, and toxic tailings remain. Warning signs and Superfund markings are now common. The remaining 72 million tons of chat were once used by kids for sledding and quail hunting. It's now part of the EPA's cleanup challenge.
Well, that's
known
good.
as the most toxic ghost town in America.
Oh, man.
Pitcher is slowly being reclaimed by the Quapaw Nation, who own most of the land. Now, as we wrap up our journey, let us know which town surprised you the most. Drop your favorite in the comments. And if you think we missed one, let us know. We're always looking for the next ghost town to explore.
Well, it's good to know that they are starting to be able to clean up Pitcher, Oklahoma. It'd be a shame if they couldn't. All right, guys, that's it. That's it. That is it. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right there. That's enough for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know nobody was in the chat, but I hope you guys are watching the live stream. All right. If you like what you see, please leave a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. As always, once I'm done with this, links to the original videos will be in the description box below once I'm done editing. And I don't know when I'll be doing another live stream, but I'll try and do one sooner or later. Maybe I can do one over the weekend. So, hey, maybe we might even do a Let's Play. You never know. All right, guys, that's enough for tonight. So, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, you guys stay safe, stay awesome. Hope you guys have had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope 2026 will be an even better year than the last one. All right. See ya.